On September 29, 2025, Charlotte, North Carolina, found itself thrust into the national spotlight, becoming the epicenter of a heated debate over crime, justice, and public safety. The city, known for its vibrant culture and rapid growth, was suddenly at the heart of a conversation that reached far beyond its borders. That day, a U.S. House Judiciary Subcommittee convened a rare field hearing at the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Government Center. This was not a routine visit. Lawmakers had come in direct response to a tragic event that had shaken the community to its core and captured national attention. The catalyst was the murder of Iryna Zarutska, a local resident whose life was cut short on the city's light rail system. Her death became a symbol of growing concerns about public safety and the perceived failures of the justice system to protect citizens. The incident sparked outrage, fear, and a demand for answers, not just in Charlotte but across the country. Republican lawmakers seized the moment to highlight what they described as soft-on-crime policies in Democrat-led cities. They argued that lenient bail laws, reduced sentences, and a lack of accountability for repeat offenders were putting communities at risk. Their goal was to draw national attention to what they saw as a pattern of policy failures, using Charlotte as a case study. On the other side, Democratic leaders pushed back forcefully. They criticized the hearing as political theater, accusing their opponents of exploiting tragedy for partisan gain. Instead, they called for a more nuanced approach, one that addressed the root causes of crime, such as poverty, lack of mental health resources, and systemic inequality, rather than simply increasing punishment. The hearing itself became a stage for passionate testimony and emotional appeals. Local officials, law enforcement, victims' families, and policy experts all took turns at the microphone, sharing stories of pain, frustration, and hope. The eyes of the nation were on Charlotte, as the city's struggles and resilience were put under a powerful microscope. This story is not just about statistics or policy papers, it's about real people. It's about the personal pain of loss, the frustration of law enforcement officers who feel their hands are tied, and the fierce political clashes over how best to keep communities safe. The debate in Charlotte echoed the anxieties and hopes of cities across America. At its core, the controversy in Charlotte raises fundamental questions. How do we ensure community safety while upholding the principles of fairness and justice? Can we protect the public without sacrificing the rights of the accused? And what does true justice look like in a diverse and changing society? The field hearing in Charlotte was more than a local event. It was a microcosm of a much larger national debate. Across the country, cities are grappling with rising crime rates, public fear, and deep divisions over how to respond. The questions raised in Charlotte are being asked in city halls, courtrooms, and living rooms nationwide. Ultimately, the events in Charlotte underscored the complexity of balancing public safety with judicial fairness. As the nation watched, the city became a symbol of both the challenges and the possibilities that lie ahead in the ongoing struggle to create a justice system that works for everyone. To truly grasp the significance of this hearing, we must first understand the story of Iryna Zarutska, a story that has come to symbolize much more than a single tragedy. It is a story that has resonated deeply with the Charlotte community and beyond, sparking conversations about justice, safety, and the responsibilities of our legal system. Iryna was a vibrant, ambitious 23-year-old, remembered by friends and family for her kindness, her dreams, and her unwavering optimism. She had recently moved to Charlotte, eager to start a new chapter in her life, and was known for her love of art and her commitment to helping others. But on a seemingly ordinary day, Iryna's life was cut short in a senseless act of violence on Charlotte's Lynx Blue Line light rail. The news of her death sent shockwaves through the city, leaving a community in mourning and searching for answers. The man responsible, Decarlos Brown Jr., had a long and troubling history of violent offenses. His arrest for Iryna's murder raised immediate questions about how someone with such a record could have been free to commit another crime. The fact that Brown had been released on cashless bail just days before the attack became a lightning rod for public outrage. Many saw this as a glaring example of the risks posed by recent changes to bail policies, and the debate quickly intensified. For many, Iryna's case came to represent a perceived failure in the justice system, a system that, in their eyes, had prioritized procedure over public safety. The tragedy forced a reckoning with how laws are enforced and who is ultimately protected. Her story quickly became central to heated arguments about public safety, mental health, and the balance between protecting individual rights and ensuring community security. Advocates on all sides pointed to Iryna's death as evidence for their cause. Lawmakers invoked her name in legislative sessions and public forums, using her story to highlight the urgent need for systemic change. Her memory became a rallying point for those demanding reform. For Iryna's family, the grief was overwhelming. Their private pain became a public symbol as they bravely spoke out, calling for accountability and meaningful action to prevent similar tragedies in the future. Iryna's story transformed abstract policy debates into a tangible, heartbreaking reality. Her name became synonymous with the urgent demand for justice reform, inspiring protests, vigils, and renewed calls for legislative action. The outpouring of support at memorials and vigils underscored just how deeply her loss was felt. Her tragic death served as a stark reminder of the human cost of systemic failures. The congressional hearing was convened to address these failures, seeking answers and solutions so that no other family would have to endure such a loss. Iryna Zarutska's story continues to echo in the halls of power, urging leaders to act. The hearing's most poignant moments came from families who bravely stepped forward to share their personal tragedies. Their voices, trembling with emotion, filled the room with a sense of urgency and heartbreak that statistics and policy debates could never convey. Each story was a reminder that behind every headline and every crime statistic, there are real people, parents, children, siblings, whose lives have been forever changed. Steve Federico, a father still grappling with unimaginable loss, spoke of his daughter Logan, who was killed by a career criminal. Holding her photo, he described the vibrant life she led and the void left behind. His testimony was not just about his pain, but about the countless families who fear that the system will fail them next. Mia Alderman, her voice steady but her eyes filled with sorrow, described the slow and agonizing process of seeking justice for her granddaughter Mary's murder. She recounted the endless delays, the uncertainty, and the feeling of being forgotten by a system meant to protect. Families at the hearing highlighted the persistent issue of repeat offenders, individuals who cycle through the system, committing new crimes while victims and their loved ones are left to pick up the pieces. They questioned how many more lives must be shattered before meaningful change is enacted. Many expressed a deep sense of betrayal by a justice system that, in their eyes, too often releases dangerous individuals back into the community. Their frustration was palpable, as was their fear that others would suffer the same fate. Their testimony was more than a recounting of loss. It was a plea for accountability, for common-sense reforms, and for a system that values the safety of innocent people above all else. In those moments, the focus of the hearing shifted away from politics and policy, centering instead on the raw human suffering that lies at the heart of the debate over justice reform. Families honored their loved ones not just with words, but with actions, holding vigils, sharing memories, and demanding a safer system for everyone. Their grief became a rallying cry for change. Their courage in sharing these deeply personal stories highlighted the real-world impact of judicial decisions. Each statement was a powerful reminder that policy choices have consequences that ripple through entire communities. The hearing underscored the urgent need for a justice system that truly prioritizes public safety, ensuring that the rights of victims and their families are not overshadowed by bureaucracy or indifference. The stories shared by these families became a powerful call for reform, echoing far beyond the walls of the hearing room and into the conscience of the nation. Their voices demanded a system that holds violent offenders accountable, that prevents future tragedies, and that restores faith in the promise of justice. Ultimately, the hearing was a sobering reminder of the high stakes involved in justice reform, and of the urgent need to listen to those who have suffered the most. Frustration with the justice system was echoed by law enforcement. Officer Justin Campbell described the demoralizing cycle of arrest and release. He criticized the cashless bail system and its impact on police morale. Campbell's testimony highlighted systemic failures post-arrest. His plea was for tools to keep repeat offenders off the streets. His words underscored the challenges faced by law enforcement. The hearing highlighted the need for systemic support for police efforts. The hearing was a political event, with both parties pushing narratives. Republicans blamed Democratic policies for rising crime, focusing on bail reform. Democrats accused Republicans of exploiting tragedy for political gain. Tensions flared over the use of graphic images and unrelated political topics. The hearing often veered into partisan debates, overshadowing genuine issues. Both sides accused each other of politicizing tragedy. The political blame game threatened to overshadow victims' concerns. The hearing featured a clash between crime statistics and personal experiences. Analyst Jeff Asher presented data showing a decline in violent crime. Republicans dismissed the data, arguing it didn't reflect reality. The debate highlighted a divide between trusting data and personal stories. Families and officers felt the data ignored their lived experiences. The conflict underscored the complexity of the crime debate. The hearing revealed the challenge of reconciling data with personal impact. Bail reform, especially cashless bail, was a central debate topic. Supporters argue it ensures fairness, while opponents see it as a public threat. Officer Campbell criticized the system for lacking consequences. The hearing highlighted differing views on bail's purpose. Resource shortages in the justice system were also discussed. The debate underscored systemic issues beyond bail reform. The hearing aimed to build support for legislative action. North Carolina's Iryna's law seeks to limit cashless bail and add prosecutors. The bill's revival of the death penalty complicates its passage. Federal proposals aim to pressure cities on crime policies. The bills reflect a strategy to influence local policies through federal power. The legislative push highlights crime and bail reform as national issues. The hearing set the stage for ongoing political battles. As Congress left Charlotte, the city faced the aftermath of national attention. The hearing sparked a necessary conversation on crime and justice. Families hope their stories will lead to meaningful change. Legislative battles in North Carolina and Congress will shape the future. Charlotte faces immediate concerns, like increased security on public transit. Systemic issues like court backlogs and mental health challenges remain. The hearing was a reminder that crime debates are about people, not politics. The path forward involves balancing punishment and rehabilitation. The story of justice in Charlotte is ongoing and will impact the nation. The hearing underscored the need for a fair and safe justice system.